السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد. We are all aware of the current situation in the Middle East. And we're following the news and we're seeing what's happening over the past couple of days to our brothers in Palestine and brothers and sisters in Palestine. And so as I was thinking of what to talk about today in the few minutes we have together, I was scrolling through the news and seeing the various reports that were coming back. And one particular report came back that was both shocking and moving that I wanted both to share and comment on today, inshallah. And that particular event was that two brothers, they were talking to a reporter and they said that we each have two children and we swapped one of our children with the other so that they're in two separate households. And so one brother had his child and his brother's child in his household, and his brother had his own child and his brother's child in the own household. And the reason that they did that was that just in case one of the houses gets bombed and destroyed and the family goes and the family perishes, at least the other family will be able to live on through the kids of each respective family. And that was extremely moving. How can someone have to make that type of decision? And how could someone even convince themselves to make that type of decision? And so from that, while I was thinking about the khutbah, I also related or recalled that in the ayahs that we usually recite in the beginning of the khutbah, and the one that I actually just recited in the first ayah in Surah An-Nisa, we know that the last part of the ayah, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَيْكُمْ رَقِيبًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and immediately after, it's to be conscious of relatives, of family, of people around you, but specifically of family. And this is something that we live with day in and day out. The family are the people that we are born into. We don't have a choice in who our families are, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our kids, our cousins. They're all provided for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen who will be our family, and we have to adapt and work with them and love them and work with them our entire lives. And the Quran is full of stories of the family. Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Zakaria alayhim salam, they both ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get children at a very old age. Sayyidina Yusuf had troubles with his siblings. They threw him into a well because of jealousy. Sayyidina Yaqub, the father, he was looking and seeing how his kids were interacting with one another. Sayyidina Luqman, the father, giving his son advice. Sayyidina Ayub also the situation with his own family when he was afflicted with pain. And so we have a lot of these examples in the Quran and in the Sunnah of stories of famous people in our religion who had to deal with their family members in one way or another. And going back to the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be conscious of your family. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never to put us in the situation of the family, the story of the Palestinians that we just heard of in the past week. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always protect us and help us love our family and have compassion on our family and have mercy with our family always. Allahumma ameen. And so today, in the few minutes we have together, I wanted to focus on this point of family. These people that you don't have a choice in, but they're given to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses them for you, and you have to work with them your entire life. You have to love them your entire life. You have to have mercy amongst each other your entire life. And so a man, in the early days of the da'wah, in the first 2 or 3 years, a man, one of the Bedouins, came to the Prophet ﷺ. His name was Amr ibn Abasa. And he asked him, he heard that there was a prophet. And he asked him, who are you? He said, I am a prophet, I am a Nabi. And so the man, he's never heard of this word before. He's like, what is a Nabi? And he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent me. So he asked him, so what is the message? And he said, I was sent for 2 specific things. The first thing is to tell you and tell everyone here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that has to be worshipped. And the second thing is that tasilul arham, to make the connections between the family, to be good to your family, to unite the family. And we see this, we're living in a situation in the past year or so where the families have actually been forced into confinement, quite literally together, in the COVID-19 situation, where you have to interact with family much more than you might have had to in previous times. And now you see both the good, you love each other, you have more time to see each other, but also perhaps the bad, the bickering or the difficulties of interacting with one another. Yet, beyond all these things, you know that you still have to love one another, you still have to be compassionate with one another. So much so, that there is a hadith Qudsi that's narrated in both Muslim and Bukhari, so it has a very strong chain of narration, and it's hadith Qudsi, one of the most authentic of the hadiths. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this hadith Qudsi, Ana ar-Rahman, I am ar-Rahman, I am the Lord, I am the most merciful. And the hadith continues, and from my name I have created ar-Rahm, the womb. And you notice here the parallels between ar-Rahm, the womb, the word in Arabic, and Rahmah, mercy, mercifulness. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mercy from the get-go, from the beginning, and it came directly from Him. And even linguists will tell you that ar-Rahm, womb, is also another connotation, another way to express family. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the family ties. The concept of the family is a very, very central part in the lives of a Muslim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will be connected, or He will connect those who connect their family ties. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be connected with them. And on the flip side, those who disconnect from their family and close them off, He will disconnect from them. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And we hope to never be from those set of people. The Prophet ﷺ, of course, many hadith and traditions about how he acts his life around his family and around his companions. He himself has said that the best of you is the best to their families, and I, meaning the Prophet ﷺ, is the best towards my family. And so this is a call for everyone here, especially the brothers, but everyone, brothers and sisters and children, that in order to be at that level, at that status of the best, you have to be the best toward your family. And what is the core? Ar-Rahmah, mercifulness, compassion. Of course, as a father or as a mother or as a parent, there comes times when you must be strict, when you must be, we have to teach your children various things. But when at the end of the day, it all is central around compassion and mercy. And if anyone is ever in doubt, it's better to err on the side of compassion and mercy. And that is really what will stick longer with the children. And speaking of the children, and in our day and age, as parents, as family members, as we look at the times that the children are growing up now versus the times that we might have grown up, our parents might have grown up in, it's a very different time with the technology that's literally at our fingertips. So we might not have been growing up with iPads and iPhones and phones all around us and computers and the internet, but our kids are. It's a different time. And so while that has a huge potential for good, they could learn so much. The internet is full of a lot of good stuff about teaching and learning, and you could connect with one another. You could have the social interactions with one another, even if you're in your own house. There's also the other side where there is a lot of bad that could occur from too much screen time, from too much time spent interacting with the unknown and going into the ethers of the internet. So we should be conscious of that as parents, as elders, that while our children might be experiencing this technological revolution and have a lot of potential, they also can slip up. And so it comes back to the family to help self-correct, to keep things in check, to be compassionate when they do slip up. It's the same way that they might slip up, they also might slip up more than perhaps we have without the technology, and they also might do more good than we have because of the technology available. So it's good. It's important to be aware of the situation in a family household. And to that, in generalizing, beyond just being as parents and as role models to your kids, the way you act, not only will kids notice and it's more impactful than the way you talk or the way you tell them things or commands or instructions that you give them, they'll more likely follow what you do. And so if you want them to do one specific action, if you want them to learn about the Qur'an, you have to be the one reading the Qur'an in front of them. You can't just tell them to read Qur'an and then go and do something else. If you want them to come to the masjid, if you want them to pray, you have to be the leader in that regards. This is to men and women in the congregation and everywhere. And of course, it's important to keep them engaged with dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that once a person dies, their sources of good are cut off, except for 3 deeds. And one of those 3 deeds is a child that keeps making dua beyond the person's life once they pass away. And so it's not only is it good to have this compassion during your life, it is the ultimate investment in yourself and in your family to encourage them, to keep them on the straight path, and to help yourself and them enter Jannah and Firdaus all together. Inshallah, in the second khutbah, the second part of the khutbah, in the few minutes that we have together, we'll talk more about this aspect of dua and discuss more how family and dua really go hand in hand. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. The family is such an integral part of society, of life, of religion. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also incorporates it as a big part of the relationship we have with Him in our dua, in our interactions with the Quran. I already mentioned that the Quran is full of stories of the Prophet's interactions with kids, with their families. And one thing to remember and to note and take advantage of is that the dua of a parent is accepted when it's making dua to the child. And on the other side, on the flip side, one of the du'as of the children help go into the grave with the parent once they pass away. And so there's this dual relationship that has to be kept during the lifetime in order for this to manifest in the akhirah and beyond. And so when you're making dua, there's a lot of du'as out there, and we can't go into all of the du'as that one can make for their family, for their parents, for their kids. But it's important to note that a lot of these du'as are in the Quran, that you could pick them up when you're reading. You could look for them, you could find them. There's a lot of dua in the sunnah, in the seerah. You could find them and make dua to them, with them. And there's also the personal dua, the ones that you know and is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to your family members, your parents, your kids, your relatives. And these are the best of things you could ask for from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is better than a righteous family in this dunya? Everything goes, everything comes and goes. But one thing that is always a pillar of someone's life and is what one cannot ask for something better is a family. Especially since it's something you cannot always get. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to us a lot of the time. And when it's possible to control in the situation, it's very important to find that righteous spouse, that family bond that will help raise the next generation of Muslims in the right path. So always remember to make dua for righteous children, for the spouse to both grow together to become the perfect family in this small nuclear sense and also in the extended sense of helping others. And remember to keep Islam in the center, in the core of this relationship. And that is really what will keep you going through this life and the next life. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us, to protect our families, to have forgiveness for all of us and all our families, our parents, our kids, our extended families. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik Allahumma lana fi ma a'tayt. Allahumma la tada' lana fi maqamina hadha dhanban illa ghafartah, wa la hamman illa farajtah, ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا أعنتنا على قضائها ويسرتها لنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا واستووا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Please stay for a second. He gives you an announcement. It's important. Thank you. Is that from Papa? The speaker and the imam was Brother Abdul Rahman. May Allah bless him. Please make dua for him. The masjid is still short about $70,000. $70,000 we're still short. Please help pay to make the difference, to close that gap. Masjid safety rules. This is very important to all of you. Masjid safety rules has changed. We're trying to improve it slowly. And we're working with the health department. So this is the part, the front will be people who have been vaccinated twice. In the back, that would be for the people who have not been vaccinated completely. So that's important. Also, today we have a vaccination station outside. If anybody 12 years and older, please have them get vaccinated. If you have not been vaccinated, please do so. This is very important. May Allah bless you. Then we can get back to, hopefully, to a normal life. Avicenna is the organization that's doing the vaccination. Very reliable brothers and sisters. May Allah bless them. CIMIC community stand in solidarity against the continuing attack on Palestinians and their right of self-determination. Please support this effort. Please support this effort in any way you can. In any way you can. And last is Sister Fatima Ahmed. She is the wife of Brother Sadiq Ahmed. Grandmother passed away in New York 2 days ago. Please make dua for her. 2 kidney donors are needed. Please contact me if you know someone who will be willing to do that. Lunch today is sandwiches, $6 donation. And also today we have ice cream for $1.50. $1.50 ice cream cones in the kitchen. So inshallah we'll see you. This has been very quick, but there's a lot of stuff on the web. Assalamu alaikum.